Now, I think for many learners, receiving their matric results is rated, understandably, as among the most stressful times of their young lives. But for the learners who are especially disappointed with their results, how can parents support them through this time? Parenting coach Laura Markovitz now joins us in studio to share some insights into this. Is so important, Laura. It really is. I feel like I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Okay, my voice is just such a baby, but this is, when I look back, it's still fresh enough there for me to remember. I think it burns itself into most people's minds. This is a really stressful, pressurized time. So much is being gatewayed through just this one moment. Your whole schooling comes to bear. Why is it so important for parents to be supportive at this time?
Yeah, I think exactly that. You know, it's such a daunting time. It's suddenly we're going, here we are, this is your future, this looming future thing, and it feels so incredibly loaded for everybody. So it is so important that we do make sure that our kids feel that they are supported no matter what. And I say that, and I don't sort of, you know, taint that with any sugarcoating, because it can be very hard. It can be disappointing. Kids set out for certain results and they don't achieve them. There's often failure. And so it is a very scary time. But often kids are left lost, feeling, what am I going to do? Is my future completely messed up because of this? So it's important that we make sure that they're supported through this so that we can problem solve together about how to move to the next step.
Oh, man, I'm so glad you said that, problem solve, because the most important thing here is this is going to be the platform that you launch into dealing with the repercussions. Whatever has happened, you've got to now figure out what is the best thing to do, whether it's going in for rewrites, whether it's reassessing what you want to do. And it might be an indication of what you should be doing, maybe changing your idea of what you want to study, or maybe going to university. All these things, it might be the best thing that's ever happened to you, but you've got to take into account the responsibility. And I think that's the thing, is parents also invest a huge amounts of time financially into their children. Energy. So it also feels like a failure that reflects on them as well.
Yeah, so often, I mean, for parents, it's an incredibly loaded time as well, because all of us have our own relationship with academics and achievement and how we were in the world.
You will do better than I do.
Exactly. So we either are trying to make sure that our children emulate what we did, or we want them to completely distance themselves from what we did. So we're making sure, you know, you're the first child in our family who's going to finish matric. All those sort of things is incredibly stressful. So it's really important that us as parents start to separate out what's our stuff and what's our kids' stuff.
Oh, the growth opportunity.
Yeah.
So how do we do that then? We obviously need to get practical and take a step back. How do we go about supporting our child in the best way?
Yeah, so we've got to sit down with them, and I think what's important is that initial reaction. You know, ideally, when we get those results from our kids, is, you know, exactly. So we might have reacted in quite a radical way, but what we can do is always go back, and we can say, you know, I flipped out. I recognize that I was catastrophizing what's happened here, but now let's sit together and think about what went wrong, where things went wrong. Was it that they didn't understand? Was it that they were distracted and on their phone all the time, like I told them not to be? But, you know, to really look at what's happening, and then to think, okay, let's sit down and think, what are the options? Because the reality is there are always options. And that's something that we've got to impress on parents and on our kids, that there's always something that we can do. So whether it's a rewrite, whether it's redoing matric, whether it's rethinking how things are going to work, whether it's going to a technical college, really doing the research to look at what the options are. But what's really important is that we support our kids through that so that they're not left high and dry and things don't leave them lost and leading to depression or anything.
Well, that's the thing, because your results might not necessarily define your life, but that disappointment is very real. So, man, this is such an important discussion, and I think especially for our parents out there, an opportunity to grow your relationship with your child, get to know each other even that much more better. So, Laura, thank you so much. We're going to keep you around. There's lots to chew through this morning, and if you've got any questions, you can, of course, post them on our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you if you're a parent or a child in that very important matric gateway.
Thank you so much, Graham. We are sticking to that parenting topic right now. Now, earlier on, we spoke about the importance of parents stepping up and supporting their children, especially when they are receiving their matric results. And we're continuing that conversation right now with our parent coach, Laura. Laura, lovely to have you back. Nice to see you again.
You too.
So Graham sat down with you a little bit earlier on, and I think it's such an important topic. But, you know, when it comes to disappointment with regards to your matric results, it's not only, you know, if you're doing badly, but maybe students that normally get A's that's not performing so well. So why do parents kind of need to be aware of this and make sure that they react accordingly?
Yeah, because I think we kind of set the standards and then we go, well, oh, you didn't do so badly. I mean, it's not so, you know, why are you worried?
Yeah.
And we've got to be careful of that, because what we tend to do then is we diminish and we dismiss the experience that's actually felt by that learner. So I always say to parents, you know, before we come and give our stamp of approval or disapproval on our kids' results, be it matric results or more generally, it's really important to ask our kids how they think they did.
Okay.
To check in with them and see, well, how do you think it went? Are you happy with your results?
Yeah.
Are you disappointed? Because that then gives them the space to actually give their own assessment.
Yes.
And then from there, we can work together, as we spoke earlier with Graham, about actually problem solving. Okay, now what? What can we do to either pick your marks up or deal with the disappointment?
And I mean, if they do come home with unfavourable results, I mean, it's all good and well for the parents to turn up the pressure a little bit, but as long as it's done in a positive manner, I'm sure.
Yeah, so we've got
because
to be...
I think there's a lot of fear around those matric results, and oh my goodness, what are my parents going to say? I didn't do too well, because there's a lot of drive at home.
Yeah, and obviously as parents, you know, I don't think it's our role to just kind of sit back and go, well, off you go and do. We do need to be there supporting them both emotionally, practically, all those sorts of things, but in a balanced way, so that we are saying, these are your, you know, these are your matric exams, and things need to kind of get sorted so that you can study to the best of your ability. But at the same time, to put things in perspective, you know, to say, well, yes, these are your matric exams, but actually there are other ways that we can do this, and this isn't the be-all and end-all of life. And I think it's really important for us and our kids to put that in perspective, because there are ways that we can support them if they're struggling. There are ways that if they haven't done as well as they wanted to, or they've failed, that they can do things differently next time. But what's most important is that they're able to identify where they struggled and what went wrong, because from there then we've got a base that we can work from.
Once again, that comes from a conversation point of view. Let's flip it around quickly.
Exactly.
What do you advise parents not to do if they are unhappy with the results?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, obviously, and I say this kind of with a pinch of salt, is, you know, control yourself. Do not lose the plot. And I say that because, you know, it's better for our kids when those results comes, and we are talking a little bit after the fact now because they've happened, but to really try and keep your perspective, take a deep breath. Remember that this isn't going to be the end of everything. And then most importantly is, if you have lost the plot, I always say, you know, there's a lot of reparative and restorative power in going back and saying, listen, you know, sure, I lost it there. I know I did. It probably wasn't the most helpful way to be responding to you. I've taken a deep breath. Sorry about my overreaction. I catastrophized the situation. Let's think about what we can do differently. So I really think it is about keeping our emotions in check, and not trying to make our children put them right down so that their self-esteem is absolutely lost, because often when we do that, kids stagnate and they get stuck and they get lost. And so what we want to do is rather be giving them support so that they can move through whatever they're going through.
Facilitate growth. Thank you very much, Laura, for giving us advice. And I think after this chat, especially matric learners that may be watching in the future, is going to come home and is like, Mom and Dad, just take a deep breath. All right, remember what Laura said. All right. But all in all, for all the parents and the matrics, have a brilliant 2018. Study hard.